was exceptional. I think she was amazing, and you're so stunning in it.
What
drew you to her?
Initially, I didn't like the character at all when I first read the script. Granted, it was an older version of the draft, and the role was much smaller and one-sided. And when I first picked it up, I read her for what she was, and I thought, oh, she's just a superficial gold digger, and I have no interest in playing that at all. And my team said, well, you know, it's a Scorsese film, and Ellen Lewis is a fantastic casting agent. Let's do a self-tape, and hopefully Ellen Lewis watches it, and maybe down the track she'll consider looking at you again. So I said, great. And I started working on the role, and my acting coach, as soon as I started reading the script, the scene, my acting coach said, stop judging her. And I was like, I'm not judging her. She's like, yes, you are. Why are you judging her? I'm like, she just seems like a bit of a gold digger, don't you think? She was like, she's got no money. She comes from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and the only thing she has is this influence over men and this way of manipulating them with this like sexual power. That's her only form of currency, so she's using it to make a better life for herself. She's a badass. That's awesome that she's not afraid to do that. And I was like, oh my God, you're right, that is awesome. And then we kind of built on that, and that ended up being, you know, the foundation for the character, and it just got bigger, and we started meeting it out and adding dimensions from there. And, you know, I just started loving her, and now it's, you know, my favorite character I've ever played. It's just, she is such a badass. It's awesome. And from there, in the script, she grew, and obviously there's different dynamics in the script and the relationships that form throughout the film that you see.
It's interesting that you explain it that way, because I've never had an actor tell me that they hated the role when they first read it.
When that's the thing, you have to like the character you're playing, otherwise you can't justify the things you do. And if you can't believe in the things you're doing, the audience can't believe it either, and then it's an inauthentic performance, you know.
Well, aren't you so glad now that you finally fell in love with her? Because could you imagine if you hadn't had this role? I actually don't think I could imagine another actress in this role.
Well, that's the other thing too. When it came to the point where it was like, well, you have to do nudity, and I'd always said that I wouldn't do nudity, then it was like, okay, well then we're gonna have to give up the role. And I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to give up the role. And then I thought, well then who's gonna play her? And I was like, well, no one else can play her, I have to play her. That's an incredibly narcissistic thing. That's why we do acting, I suppose, because we're so egotistical like that. But I was like, no one else could possibly play her, I have to play her. So I was like, I guess I'm doing nudity.
And now you've kind of giving yourself to everything, right? I mean, is there anything that you haven't experienced after doing this film? How do you even prepare yourself for a film like The Wolf of Wall Street?
That's the thing. With making the decision of taking that role, I knew it was all or nothing. I was like, taking this role means it's diving in head first, not just with this role, not just with, it's not just with this character doing all or nothing. Like, I'll do all or nothing with the accent, with the costumes, with the hair, with the nudity, with everything, but also with my life. My life will change from doing a Scorsese film. I will not be like an indie film actor now. I will have to do press junkets. I will have to do awards season. I will have to have paparazzi follow me. I will have my family affected by that, my friends affected by that, my relationships affected by that. My life will change dramatically because of that. So there are a lot of sacrifices you make, but to have the experience I had, it's definitely worth it.
I just really wanted to ask you about meeting the real Naomi in real life. Her name is Nadine. What was like the one question that you wanted to ask her when you finally met her?
There wasn't a specific question I wanted to ask her because I wasn't basing my character on her, but the thing I found most helpful from her was that she said, because you know how I said I didn't like the character to begin with,
Right, so when you actually met her, you're probably like,
I was kind of like, I was having trouble motivating doing the horrible things that I did in the film, like leaving him when he goes to jail and saying horrible things and all those kind of things. And she said, you know, why would I, one of the things I said, oh, would you fight about the hookers and him sleeping with hookers? She was like, I don't give a shit about hookers, they're hookers. He's gonna enjoy having sex with me more than having sex with hookers, why would I care? And I was like, oh, okay, wow. And she was like, and I was like, well, what would you fight about then? She said, the drugs. Why would I let someone on drugs around my baby? And I was like, oh my God, that's it, that's the key to this character. She's looking out for her kids. And so that was the most helpful thing. From then on, my motivating factor for everything was out of protection for my kids. So it was incredibly helpful. Made in Hollywood.